A lot of mute characters in this patch, huh? this mute problem's been going on for quite a while, huh? You know, one of the main characters this patch was mute. Look, I don't sound like an entitled family. It might be time to revive Ronald Reagan here. How many of y'all grew up playing God of War, man? You talk about ancient Greece and puzzles. I was just getting PTSD playing Amphoreus. I loved it, man. I best not see no crying on Twitter. You couldn't solve these puzzles. You're just stupid, bro. It is what it is, man. I hope they keep it up, dog. That was great, man. Y'all crying bastards ruined it the last time in Inazuma. It's not ever a repeat of that. So anyway, this recap is going to be kind of long, so let's get this show on the road and not waste any more time by asking the obvious questions. Amphoreus was once home to 12 Titan gods. 7 have died, but 5 are missing. Why? Where are the 4 missing demigods on Amphoreus? Why? The Black Tide? Why? The Death Titan has half of castorice? Why? Kephili remains silent? Why? The Time Titan Orynyx called out for Mother after seeing March 7th's camera? Why? March 7th is currently being enveloped in 6th phase ice again? Why? The third path affecting Amphoreus? No one knows it. Why? Many questions remain unanswered. But one doesn't, and it's this. Is this the hardest NPC to ever grace my screen in a Hoyoverse game?
Remember this! I am the scar that this world needs!
But to address those unanswered ones, we must all be on the same page. So naturally, we've gotta... The story starts in the Astral Express, where we're deciding what our next destination should be. And look, long story short, Amphoreus, alright? Amphoreus.
There's nothing there. Confusing. The answer lies hidden in the starry sky.
A Black Swan reveals to us that Amphoreus is able to stay hidden from the rest of the universe because it's surrounded by a mass of matter. Almost like a barrier. I wonder who put it there. Himiko reiterates she believes emanators are on the planets due to traces of Amphoreus being in the mirror of the Garden of Recollection, but Black Swan goes a step further and suggests there could be eons on the planets. We learned earlier one of the 3 paths affecting Amphoreus is the erudition, and it's now Black Swan reveals another path is the remembrance. But as for the third, it's a complete mystery, even to Black Swan herself. While discussing how we actually want to get onto the planet, we notice someone's missing. March 7th. We go to her room to check on her, and she tells us ever since the warp jump, she's been feeling very ill. Black Swan checks her memories and states this was all too sudden for it to be any ordinary illness. Then Sunday comes in and does the voodoo. He likens March's condition to the dreamscape we experienced when entering the Asdana system for the first time. Something external is affecting March, be it a path, an eon, or Amphoreus itself. Black Swan concurs, and thus March is banished from exploring Amphoreus for now. In private, Welt wonders if Amphoreus is related to March 7th's past, which Himiko brushes off due to the lack of any 6th phased ice March was founded. Himiko states, we and Dan Hung will take lead on this mission. Pom Pom gives us a car from the Express to go to Amphoreus because, you see, Amphoreus is cut off from the rest of the universe and the IPC's influence has yet to reach here, meaning communicating with the Express from Amphoreus will be impossible. So a personal car should help ease the burden, and with that, we go. arise and check on Don Hung, who is still alive. We try contacting the Express, but to no avail. We spot an elusive creature in the distance and follow it. All the while, time changes from day to night in an instant, but that's not all. The conditions of the architecture change, and we hear an eerie sound every single time. Don Hung wonders how such a primitive world could have conjured up such a powerful attack on us, and wonders about any language barrier we'll encounter in the future. We come across a gate and in the distance spot a giant statue holding a sphere. Then notice the statues behind us seem to be moving, so we fight them.
Look out! You've got something interesting.
The extremely pale man tells us we are in the abyss and fought the minions of the Strife Titan. Don Hung didn't like the man's aggressive approach, but the man responds because we are outsiders, he had no choice, and what's more, despite the fact that he took both our weapons, he can sense a great power stirring within the Trailblazer. A little one then intervenes, lecturing the man whose name is now revealed to be Phainon on how to properly treat guests and strangers. She tells us her name is Tribbie, but oddly enough, refers to herself as a collective using the we pronoun, then gets Phainon to apologize to us. We tell the pair we hail from beyond the sky. The sky, not the stars. Which comes as a shock to them, believing we came from above the sky. Phainon tells us before we arrived, he and Tribbie were escorting some people to the holy city of Akama. They invite us to join and we say yes, so we exchange pleasantries, but before following, we converse with Don Hung about what's happened. We take note of Phainon's impressive combat abilities, being able to disarm the Trailblazer and break Don Hung's spear in an instant. We still have no idea who took down the express car, but the even greater mystery, we have no idea how we can speak the same language as the people from Amphoreus. Due to the mention of craftsmen in holy cities, we begin to think Amphoreus is not as unga-bunga as we were expecting, and finally, continue on towards a temple. Inside, we hear a boomer ridiculing a man for asking chrysos heirs for help bringing them to the holy city, stating as priests of the passage Titan Yanis, their nomadic values clash with living in one city permanently, but the man responds stating they have lost too many people to the Strife Titan Nikador's forces, and he just wants to go somewhere safe. But then, the old man states nowhere is safe with the end times coming, and that he and his people will remain in the temple where they are protected by Yanis. We listen to the young man tell his story, but when Don Hung asks him what the old man meant by end of times, the man is confused. He states everyone should know about the prophecy, and before fully able to question how we don't know about the prophecy, Phainon interrupts and states, convincing the old man and his followers to go to the holy city of Akama is their top priority right now. He asks that we, along with Tribbie, go fetch the stubborn old fuck, and that along the way, Tribbie will answer our questions. We take a moment for ourselves and reason Phainon wants the average folk to know nothing of the fact that we hail from beyond the sky, and so we go with Tribbie, and when we question how we're gonna get across, she, just says voodoo and temporarily restores the temple to a time before it was destroyed.
Once again, stir the ripples of past reverie.
We catch up with the old man, and to the surprise of no one, they're fighting for their lives against baddies, so we save him, but this still doesn't get him to change his mind, stating he'd rather die for his faith than live in a foreign land. Tribbie responds that while to him, the Titan who protects the holy city of Akama, the world-bearing Titan Kefali, might just be a foreign god, she swears to Yanis, the god that this guy follows, Akama does not discriminate and protects all equally. When the old man questions who the girl is, she states our name is Tribbios, and then he realizes he's talking to the high priest and immediately falls in line. Gotta love it. With that settled, we wait for our ride to the holy city and finally get to ask questions to Tribbie and Phainon regarding what the fuck is going on with regards to the end times. Phainon states the world is ending. When we ask who the Titans are, he states they are the ancient gods of Amphoreus. They were once worshipped by humans, but are now their enemies. We ask who or what the Chrysos heirs are, and he states they are deliverers, with golden blood flowing through their veins. And finally, we ask about the earlier time trick Tribbie pulled off, and we learned it's a gift from the 3 Titans of Fate, and with it, priests can alter reality by awakening shadows of the past. His answers were fucking ass, and Don Hung notes as such, so Tribbie instead sings us a ballad in which we learn there were once 12 Titans. 3 made the heavens and the earth, 3 wove fates, 3 made life, and 3 brought ruin. The world they made was boring, so they made humans. We then learned the giant statue holding a sphere is of the world-bearing titan Kefali. Our ride finally arrives in the form of the Loch Ness Monster, and finally we head off for the holy city of Akama, but not before gaining confirmation both Phainon and Tribbie are in fact Chrysos heirs, and that Akama is the only human city left on Amphoreus. You know, sure hope he didn't jinx it. Our fighting prowess earns us great praise from the NPCs who wonder if we're Chrysos heirs from another land. They plead us to save Akama, stating the Strife Titan Nikador has returned. When we catch up with Phainon, he tells us Nikador has in fact led an army into Akama. We offer our help, but Phainon warns us not of the dangers of the enemies, but of the other Chrysos heirs whose attacks do not discriminate. We help some people and then learn why Tribbie kept using we and our when referring to herself. It's cause there's just a fucking bunch of them. She tells, or they tell Phainon, someone named D is fighting the enemy, causing Phainon to worry about his bloodlust. So, we carry onward.
The rear is secured now. This is the result of your efforts?
Quit messing around. You know who we're dealing with.
Carelessness will be your downfall. Deliver.
My D is wary of our presence, but because the 3 priests of Yanis, you know, all the fucking Tribbies, are connected, Akama has long been aware of our presence. My D then turns to Phainon and states his people will never make up with the likes of him before turning to us and warning us of Phainon's hospitality. My D tells us where Nikador is and that Aglaea said he can't come. As we head towards Nikador, we run into another Chrysos heir with a spooky aura about her, Castorice. She tells us she will lead us, but requests that we stay 5 steps back at all times. She calls herself a shadow of death, and the closer you get to her, the stronger her aura becomes. Come too close, and you die. We head to fight Nikador, and Phainon expresses discomfort with the idea of leaving Castorice behind, but she assures him there's no civilians in the area that she can harm. So we march forward. We get closer to the god of war. So close, we begin to feel the presence.
This is not the true Nikador, just one of his many godly forms. The core flame isn't here.
Aglaea welcomes us and says from now on we're distinguished guests. We notice her googly eyes and she says she's not blind and can see more than others via the movement of threads or some shit. She says those with golden blood, aka the chrysos heirs, have something extraordinary about them. For her, she can perceive more than most. Aglaea reveals one of the tribbies follows Nicodor's forces to uncover where Nicodor is hiding. Phainon then leaves the job of telling us Amphoreus' history to Aglaea and heads off. Before she tells us stories, we lay down a beacon of the Trailblaze. We then learn of Amphoreus' history from a fountain. Before time itself, the world was in chaos. 3 Titan gods made space, time, and laws. 3 other Titan gods made the skies, earth, and ocean. Then came the world-bearing Titan, Kephaly, father of all people. He walked on the earth marveling at what his fellow gods made, but was saddened by the loneliness of it all. So Kephaly made clay figures in his likeness, and a little of his golden blood granting them life. The Titan of Reason, Xerxes, granted reason to the clay beings, and the romance Titan Nestia gave them an eye for beauty and love, and thus humans were born for an age. A golden age. It was perfect. Life thrived, disasters were nowhere to be seen, and humans didn't age nor die. But then, 3 more titans came unto the world. Trickery, strife, and death. Following their arrival, a black tide swallowed the world. Fear consumed all, and mankind declared war on one another in the name of the gods. The wrath of the gods then covered the earth and hid the heavens in shadows. This divine war led to a broken world until a prophecy appeared that stated 12 powerful heroes must be assembled to take on the 12 titans and take their core flames to reignite them. Only then will peace return to the world. These heroes are the chrysos heirs. We're still confused, so Aglaea takes us to a bath to explain things for us, but first entwines us with her threads so as to bind us to speak only the truth. She tells us the titans that once built Amphoreus have become its plague. An unfathomable power changed something within most of the titans, causing them to turn to rage. Amphoreus has since fallen to eternal nights because the black tide has engulfed the world. Akama is the only city with light, and that's thanks to the world-bearing titan Kephaly. The chrysos heirs need to defeat the titans, take their core flames, and claim the gods' authority for their own, and once they've gotten all the core flames, a miracle of Genesis will reveal itself, and then, victory. As a result of telling us all this, bro, your name just couldn't be fucking Algae, bitch! Aglaea tells us to make a promise. Never tell the people of Akama about the worlds beyond the sky, no matter what happens. We inform Don Hung of our pact with Aglaea, who likens the sky above the world like a prison and wonders why the topic is taboo. He reasons someone is intentionally keeping Amphoreus hidden and wonders about the Eon. We explore Akama, we learn Tribbie's Shadow of the Past Time trick, and also learn the people of Amphoreus have cell phones. We have become micro-celebrities due to helping with the invasion, with the official story being we are just, from a faraway land. A dude then offers to take our picture in front of Kephaly's statue. After the photo, however, he asks if we come from another land, or beyond the sky. We lie and say another land. Don Hung makes up on the spot. We continue walking around, run into Phainon again, who tells us no one knows where the prophecy came from, but we do learn Kephaly has long since fallen into an eternal slumber, and that it was Kephaly who scattered their divine blood all over the land, giving rise to the chrysos heirs. Phainon tells us his core flame, the one he's destined to grab, is Nicodor's. We then run into Castorice, who's, not a very good conversationalist, but more interestingly, avoids all contact with us, to the point that when she offers to take a picture for us, she asks we place the camera on the ground so she can pick it up, not allowing us to simply hand it to her. We then overhear some people talking about a rosy celestial maiden on the world-wound web. When reading the threads, we're horrified to learn the people en masse are speaking of the worlds beyond the sky, and the rosy celestial maiden they're speaking of is March 7th. You see, when that one sly bastard from earlier was taking our picture in front of Kephaly, he looked through the camera's gallery and found a bunch of March pictures on past journeys. We eventually find the rat bastard who decides he wants to become the first person in Greek mythology to don some wings and fly up too high to see what happens. We nab the bastard by confirming to him there are indeed worlds beyond the sky, but in the process, breaking our promise to Aglaea. The rumors still persist, causing us to seek out a statue who gets bullied by Maidi to stop the rumors. We meet up with Aglaea and Tribbie and learn Nikador is in Castrum Kremnos, but no one knows where it is because it's a moving city covered in fog. Aglaea then gives us a lovely room with a special wash bin that she suggests we use right now. It'll take us to the Vortex of Genesis, a place that houses the original divinity of the Titans, and it's also where the miracle of Genesis will occur when all core flames are gathered, so we oblige.
You now stand at the heart of this world. Now, I require your honesty.
We then learn Aglaea learned of the rumors and us telling the one dude there are indeed worlds beyond the sky, and she is not happy. She wants to ask us some questions, but this time our lives are on the line and castorice will be the ones killing us. Dan Heng questions why the consequences are so severe for breaking that one promise, and Aglaea explains there was once a usurper nation that built sky ships hoping to reach the stars. The sky titan Aquila, the one responsible for the barrier, however, did not take too kindly to this and wiped the entire city off the map. Any who attempts to cross the firmament gets blasted. The questioning will now begin. The rules are a bit unclear to me, but I'm a dipshit. Something like castorice takes one step closer to us if we lie, and we got room for 2 lies or some shit? Aglaea then asks why we came to Amphoreus. We say to continue our journey. That was the truth. She asks why we helped Akama. We respond to continue our journey. That was the truth. She asks if we would turn our blades against Akama. We respond, we don't use a blade, we use a blat. I mean, it's not a lie, but she didn't like the answer. Anyway, castorice takes a step forward. Finally, Aglaea asks if we'd be willing to use our power, whatever lies inside of us, to aid Amphoreus. We tell her no. That was the truth. We passed the test, so we get another chance, but Dan Heng has had enough of this bullshit and states this partnership can no longer continue. But old Phainon then shows up and vouches for us. Then castorice does. Aglaea wonders if she went a bit too far, then departs, and in a bid to get us to stay on Amphoreus, Phainon and castorice talk to us, revealing before the interrogation even started, castorice sent word to Phainon about what was happening, hoping he'd change Aglaea's mind. He then reveals Aglaea is a demigod. We then look up at the Titan's constellations and learn the 6 lit up ones are indicative of the 6 core flames humanity has reclaimed. 'Twas a long journey, but Aglaea and Tribbie have been there for a lot of it, and as it stands, they are the only 2 demigods left in the holy city. We then learn what a demigod is, and it's simply someone who must assume divine authority to keep Amphoreus running until the miracle of Genesis occurs, as currently the world needs these god titans to function. Currently, Aglaea and Tribbie have put down their own gods and assumed their authority, making them demigods. We then step forward and actually hear the 12 titans, and they just sort of sound like cavemen. We ask some more questions to Phainon and castorice. No one knows how one becomes a chrysos heir, but it's thought that the prophecy favors those in dire circumstance. The first chrysos heir appeared 1,000 years ago, then soon came the Chrysos War that killed a bunch, so as it stands right now, no one knows where a lot of the other chrysos heirs are. After hearing all this, we choose to stay in Amphoreus, so we go back to our rooms and sleep. We swap shots on over to Tribbie and Aglaea and learn Tribbie is Aglaea's teacher. Tribbie then asks if Aglaea really was going to kill us earlier, but she responds no, and states that even Tribbie knew she wasn't, because if she was going to, Tribbie would have intervened. She then reveals she knew castorice reached out to Phainon ahead of time. Nothing gets by this bitch. She then remarks eventually both she and Tribbie will step off the stage eventually and leave Amphoreus' fate in the hands of others. Does this mean they'll die. But we also learn these two have been alive for hundreds of years. Back to the Trailblazer, we hear someone with verbal Parkinson's trying to speak to us. But to brush it off, we meet with the Chrysos heirs at the bathhouse, and Aglaea reveals they've tracked down Castrum Kremnos. We get first picks by Phainon and my D to go fight against Nikador, leaving Donhung to rot. The three of us pull up to castrate Kronos and eventually come across one big-ass sword that Maidi says was used by Nikador to destroy the Sky Titans Aquila's heavenly kingdom, as well as many other nations. Because Castrum Kremnos is a warfaring nation, death furthers the fuel for the blade, making it all the more lethal. We split up and learn Maidi is from Castrum Kremnos, and not just from, but he was the crown prince. We come across a mural that seems to depict Titankin, or the minions of Nikador, are made by creating a body from stone and infusing it with golden blood to give it life. We link back up with Maidi, and the funniest scene in human history occurs. We come across another talking statue that Maidi praises greatly.
Chrysius Leo was the top advisor in Castrum Kremnos, whose wise counsel helped my tribe win many battles and thwart numerous schemes. Sadly, he has lost his voice now. If only the Chrysos heirs could benefit from his wisdom.
The old bastard is then revealed to just still be alive and gets out some final words.
Please, teacher, share your wise counsel with me.
Crown Prince, Castrum Kremnos has lost everything. Its people, traditions, and most importantly, its glory.
And Maidi instantly discredits him.
Perhaps those were just the delirious words of a dying lion. I shouldn't overthink it.
Anyway, we share with him the slate we grabbed earlier, written in Castrum. Oh yeah, we grabbed a slate earlier. It's gameplay stuff. It was written in Castrum Kremnos' natural tongue, and we can't fucking translate it, so we give it to him, and he reveals this. People within Castrum Kremnos realize the Black Tide is dangerous to all, and I mean, seeing as they come from a warfaring nation, they realize this could be used as a weapon against not only their archenemy, but Nikador's archenemy, the city of Akama and the world-bearing titan Kefali. Their plan to bring down the city is smuggle in tainted Titankin and hide them all over the city, letting them pollute the area as the people within go mad. Then they will use the sword Nikador used to put down countless other nations and destroy Akama, you know, that one big-ass one we saw earlier, and then after they'll fully invade them. We realize the grave danger Akama is in, but decide we need to move onward and kill Nikador, and so we do.
Immortal wretch. How amusing.
We learn Nikador is immortal. Beyond that, realize the god has no intention of winning the fight, but instead, it wants to keep dying over and over again to charge the blade that will strike at Akama. With the situation dire, Maidi demands both Phainon and us return to Akama and inform the two demigods of the situation, while he hold off the God King all on his own. He can do this because his curse for being a Chrysos heir is immortality. Although worth noting, you know, he was born with this. We tell Aglaea what's happened. We need to uncover how Nikador made an undying body for himself, so we must seek the help of another Titan, the Time Titan Orynyx. We head to the Gate of Infinity to meet up with the Titan who really does not like humanity and keeps telling us to fuck off, but we do not care. We learn the Gate of Infinity was made by the Passage Titan Yanis. Yanis died long ago, and Tribbie inherited its core flame, and Phainon tells us vanquishing a Titan through brute force isn't the only way to do it. We do a lot of puzzles to try and meet Orynyx, one of which involves balancing scales with something that has a greater weight than the fate of the world, in which Phainon suggests something only known to him and Castorice, the latter of which immediately pushes back on this idea.
No, Lord Phainon. There must be some other way. A more comprehensive way.
even if our time is tight.
Don Hung reasons we just throw on March 7th's camera, because, you know, we only care about March more than the fucking world. We then link up with Orynyx, asking if she can reveal the past to us and tell us how Nikodor has an undying body. Orynyx then responds with a very valid point.
Chrysos heirs. Heroes that uphold rage, cruelty, and darkness, pursuing the cursed prophecy. You've treated my kind as prey. In the name of deliverance, you would seize my core flame and leave me to suffer in endless isolation. Leave. Just leave. Even if the world will be destroyed as a result, I will not help a group of ruthless butchers.
Phainon eventually has enough of the bullshit and threatens to take Orynyx's core flame right then and there, and then the Trailblazer takes a picture of Orynyx with March 7th's camera. Orynyx then calls out for Mother, and states Mother encountered you, and she misses you. She sees you, and wants to see everything about you. We accept Orynyx's invitation and look into our past and find a creature who's guiding us, and then we find ourselves back on the Express in an unfamiliar memory and see Himiko and Don Hung talking about food options. The creature states this memory is chaotic and then fixes it to showcase Kafka and Blade. We venture forward and see the rest of the hunters talking about a recent mission that was only bailed out with the Trailblazers' quick thinking. We continue talking with the hunters one by one, but then hear Orynyx speak to us, telling us our happiness was sealed away. She asks us if Mother is there and watching, but instead, it's the Sky Father that answers. Orynyx finally says she found it and at long last caught fully the Remembrance's gaze. Orynyx then tells Mem to accompany us because we will find Mother. The Stellaron hunters are still here, and Kafka assures us no matter what, we will never be betrayed by them. Where the fuck is Elio, by the way? You sly company. Show me Elio, I demand it. Anyway, you then say bye to either Kafka or Firefly. I chose Kafka because Firefly had a whole fucking patch dedicated to saying goodbye to her. Snap back to reality. Mem is now visible to all, and we tell Don Hung we earned Foolie's gaze, and this leaves Phainon and castorice lost as they've no idea of the gods from beyond. Mem can help us recreate the past and see what happened to Nikodor in his body, but first, we gotta collect some memories. We do this with castorice, and after collecting all the memories, we swap shots over to Aglaea, who deals with the hidden Titan King that were smuggled into the city. Back to us, Mem creates a bridge that takes us to the past before Castrum Kremnos was destroyed, and this is just space Sparta. We gather info to try and pinpoint where in history we are and learn Maidi has left his people for Akama, Nikodor has fallen into a slumber, and a festival is occurring, meaning we are in the final years of the Chrysos War. We enter the festival as it will allow us to enter the city, but because you need 3, we join up with a fellow Spartan. We do a lot of challenges, and the Spartan clocks, we are not here for a king's glory, but doesn't care of our motives so long as we steer clear of his motives, which are to crush foolishness. We eventually clock someone's tailing us, to which the Spartan immediately demands death, but castorice convinces him otherwise. We continue forward and come across a talking statue who tells us the king of Castrum Kremnos is plotting a heinous plan that involves Nikodor's divinity. The Spartan states he cares not for a plot and is only here for a calling he hears at the depths of the city, and it's to crush foolishness. We continue on, and castorice begins beckoning lingering souls to provide answers as to what's going on here, and we hear souls speak of offering sacrifices to the Titan in an attempt to control Nikodor's descent into madness. They fabricated a war to calm Nikodor. From other souls, we learn King Europon is the mastermind and that priests are currently working on sealing Nikador's soul into several sword vessels. The Spartan then reveals the calls he hears could be from Nikador. More souls tell us King Europon is planning an all-out attack on Akama, but it's a long-term project. Castorice slips inadvertently, revealing we aren't from this time period, and Nias caught it. When we tell Nias what happens in the future, he becomes enraged at mankind's folly and hubris. Now, he states we all have the same goal. We then come across other souls telling us different aspects of Nikador's soul. Courage, honor, tenacity, and sacrifice were split into 5 different parts. However, one part of Nikador's soul is missing, and it's reason. Nias then fills us in on the rest. King Europon aimed to take Nikador's divinity and place it in a vessel forever, in a bid to make Nikador immortal. He then tells us Nikador's soul fragments are sealed in these statues before us, and we must reassemble them and unite them to recover his dignity as a titan. And then, we can finally beat Nikador in the present. We do it. However, one fragment is still missing, and it's reason. Nias then tells us that long ago when the Black Tide first appeared, Nikador was the first titan to go and fight, and its sanity began to slip. Before being completely corrupted by the Black Tide, Nikador stripped a piece of its divinity away. The most important piece, reason. We then look around and realize the countless bodies strewn throughout the hall are all of Nias. He is Nikador's divinity. In the past, bodies represent many failed attempts at uniting with his own divinity, but now, with our help, he can complete his task and reunite with Nikador's divinity, where he will be consumed by corruption from the Black Tide, meaning the Titan will be at the zenith of his strength. Nikador will be beatable, but Nias will die. However, he's content with this, and so Nias finally provides the God King reason.
I am Nikador, the lance of fury, the messenger of turmoil, and the embodiment of strife. Remember this. I am the scar that this world needs.
What?
They've returned! Best me! Grant me an end! If it is a warrior!
Corpus Penis.
No longer must one wield a sword. From here on, the world shall no longer know strife.
With the Titan dead, its core flame appears and Phainon suggests Maidi be the one to absorb it, but Maidi says Phainon should do it and this is not up for negotiation, so Phainon does. We get one more scene in which Castorice asks Nikador's corpse a question, and it's this. Does he know where the Death Titan Thanatos is, as Thanatos has the other half of Castorice that she hasn't had since birth, but Nikador responds, he and no other Titan has seen the Death Titan in the flesh. Back with the gang, Aglaea asks Phainon if he's ready to become a god, and he says yes, so we'll do it tomorrow at the Vortex of Genesis, but Aglaea warns, no one knows the costs of accepting Strife's divinity. We head back to our rooms and Phainon and castorice discuss. Phainon's will is on shaky ground and castorice tries to dispel doubts, but they eventually switch topics back to what happened at Ornyx's scale. Phainon asked why she stopped him, and she responds because asking that of Phainon would have been far too cruel. Phainon says he constantly thinks about the past and his mind is filled with doubts. We then swap shots to Herta. Yep, you gotta justify that banner somehow. The space station has been deactivated and there remains only puppets and her in the flesh. Herta is talking with one of her mirrors, and we learn she didn't actually summon or even talk to the erudition here. No, this is just a hologram, but she's preparing everything to truly summon Nous this time, and evacuated everyone from the spaceship on the off chance their gaze annihilates the entire space station. Before we can seek an audience with Nous, we must first, however, fix this audience device or some shit. I don't know. Anyway, we fixed the device, but while fixing it, we catch a memo keeper that was trying to eavesdrop on Herta's conversation with Nous to capture some of Nous's memories. So Herta stuffs her into a mirror. She then proceeds to go speak with Nous, and just as she's about to send a message to the droid head, her mirrors all but tell her both Sunday and Welt are attempting to awake her in reality. Sunday tries the voodoo to awaken her, but she's an emanator, so it does next to nothing. She does, however, choose to forego speaking with Nous right now, as on the off chance they do respond, Welt and Sunday will die in an instant. She awakens, and Welt says they are here for Amphoreus, which Herta says she told Himiko everything she knew, which is, how could she possibly not know about Amphoreus? She then remarks the divine Amphoreus team will swap out the current crest for the one in King Bavarus's likeness in the next season, whatever that means. Welt says they came back because they want the help of a genius in the trouble they are currently facing. They lost all contact with the Trailblazer and Dawnhung, and what's more, March 7th has grown seriously ill. At the Vortex of Genesis, the ritual begins, and Nikador steps forth to observe the human who will inherit his divine authority. Nikador notes, Phainon's strength and character are solid, but his will, not so good. So Nikador proposes a trial, and Phainon agrees, and the two disappear, leaving us to wait. Maidi then shows up and has castorice reveal to us Phainon's past. Everything Phainon once knew, loved, and cared for was taken away from him. We then get a shot of a girl that means nothing to me because I didn't play Honkai Impact III, talking with a young Phainon in their village. They just speak about what a deliverer is, which would be his future title as a chrysos heir. Back on the Express, Himiko goes to give food to March 7th, but to her horror, March has begun to become enveloped in 6-phased ice.